to start off with, we were thinking about connections and the way we connect as people, the way we connect as poets, and we wanted to start off at the beginning, at birth, really.
Fetus. You want to escape from the dark space we have put you inside. I can tell. You try to kick down the wall that spirals around you, but all you can do is shake it, like a mollusk that has outgrown the chamber of its shell. I know you have started to count the number of days before you leave me, as I begin to count backwards to the time when you did not exist, before you buried yourself into this lining, bloody and weeping.
Arrival. When I saw your father then, before you birthed, I saw a boulder, broad chest, wavering, awkward as his skin, stretched and cracked, losing his old self. I saw his words become weighed, his life mission sharpened like a pencil. I saw him testing, Father. He would roll it around like hot liquid and squint under its burn. As you stretched in your mother's tummy, so he stretched. He shed parts to prepare. I saw a man naked and unsure, rolling daddy around his tongue, preparing like the raw trumpet, stretching abstract notes, creating jazz. I saw you make him become a man.
View from room 807. Framed, empty buildings darkened with damp and neglect. Windows missing their whole panes of glass. Slow peeling paint feathers black iron stairwells. She watches her breath evaporate on the cold window, revealing him asleep. Shirt tucked in, laces half undone, breathing heavily into a bed big enough to cradle all of their shadows. Steam tickles the cracks of collapsed chimneys as tufts of grass alive on wild rooftops. Polished oak sideboards stand to attention, waiting for the night to change. She presses her palm quietly on her stomach, lifelines protecting a new seed. Watches a cloud move across a backdrop of crumbling brickwork, still like flowers tied to a roadside railing.
We're going to take a seat in Sundra. This is Sundra, Denise, Malika.
So this piece is called Train Ride. It's a different train ride, not from London to Luton, but from Colombo to Kandy. Blue scorched horizon watches me travel, Colombo to Kandy. Sea, whispering breezes into twisted green valleys, carved upon hillsides. Elbow anchored on brown splintered ledge, nudging the morning air. The engine's steamed heat infects each carriage, swelling ankles and the sails of iced teas. We slow to take a turn, and a ribbon of children with no shoes, offering garlands of smiles, run alongside my window. Shouting Sinhalese arpeggios with breathless punctuation, their laughter travelling along the hips of my mother's country. This piece is about, it's called Coffee Shop, I'm not going to say what it's about, it's too short. He speaks over teaspoons and spillages. Torso tugs on each syllable, explaining his process. Feels her shape through his fingers. Frames her hips with his palms. Fingers her thoughts on canvas. Draws on her beauty. We're kind of Malika's Poetry Kitchen, as Malika introduced us, started quite a while ago, and we're all kind of in different places at the moment, doing lots of different things, but there is one thing that kind of holds us together, and that is a love of writing, and there is a connection that kind of goes through that. So I'll let Malika talk more about the kitchen a bit later. But this piece is called Connecting. It's about connections. We're connecting. The ringtone sounds in pain. Its chrome ribs are crying. The computer's making an invisible phone call, I explain. You stare. The printer's a conundrum. Does it take photocopies? A carnival of loose cables coiled on the parquet irritate you, messy and undisciplined like the wires in your head, refusing to do what you say and show you up whilst others are still. Seeing you exchange your tracksuits for prescriptions, whilst the world kept running and left you waiting for your body to get lost. But still you rise at 6 every morning, eager to fill each day like a picnic basket and conquer new technology. Okay, this last piece from me is called Patricia Jones, and it kind of goes back to the time when you were like 10 years old and you kind of had your first crush, and you know, things are so big and colourful, and bad things are really bad and good things are really good. So this is called Patricia Jones. My awakening was like tree roots pushing up paving stones. It's hard to keep your arms folded at 10. At school, talk and how to do it gushed out our heads like shaken fizzy pop. Yeah, I remember Andrew sing. His mum was white, Dad Asian. So Andrew had this smooth, creamy skin with a sigh of brown that danced from my own to Patricia Jones's. His hair was heavy with growth, but soft with curls that rippled into each other like laughter. And he always smelled like he'd stepped out of a washing machine. And you know, the heels of his shoes, well, they were always even. Now, Patricia said that he had a crush on me. Back then, I didn't know what one was. All I knew was that I wanted him to crush my body, flat like they do on TV. But he never did knock for me. I'd see him walk past my gate on his way to Patricia Jones's. Her blonde hair, a beacon for all lost boys. Thank you very much.
You're thinking everything, and you're rushing, and you're rushing, and you're rushing here, and you're rushing there, and 20 million thoughts are going through your head, and then one day you sit down and you appreciate silence. Well, this poem is about appreciating silence. It's called The B&B in Gillingham, a postcard. I sit facing the large glass window, listening to morning. A little girl playing her piano before school, the crackle of the post, hearing the envelope slit. The teacup clinks a saucer. The kitchen sounds 2 doors down the yellow hallway of eggs crackling and sizzling. The landlady's footsteps as sunlight sprawls through the Victorian window, shadowing long acres of green grass, where 4 horses stand like statues. Occasionally, one raises its head, one moves slightly. Nothing is brisk, nothing is sudden. The old, peeling eucalyptus tree stands frozen. Ah, now it sways, then stops. The landlady whistles, the piano stops, a door slams, then there's a tranquil quiet that even the scribble of my pencil on this paper disturbs. Beauty of just the smallest things. And talking about the beauty in things, I had this job in Hampton Court Palace. I was the poet in residence there, and I had to talk to people and write poems about the experience and lead garden tours in Hampton Court. And one of the things that struck me was people's relationships. There's this long path that's full of gravel. And so this poem is called The Beauty in Things, and it's about just looking at that process. If I could hold the footsteps beating the gravel, like little drums playing crunchy music at once, speckled pebbles shifting beneath visitors' feet, rising small bursts of sand dusting their footwear. If I could stop toddlers grabbing those pebbles in their fists to put in their mouth, mums capturing the clenched palms, prizing them open, dropping their treasures, receiving tears and tantrums for their effort, then the child tries again, the buggy scraping the gravel. If I could stop his daughter's struggle to push his wheelchair in that gravel, until defeated I watch him rise, an old man, hair graying, shirt slightly yellow, gap khaki slacks. Yes, this poem is about him. I will tell you how I watch him fix a crutch under each arm, place the right in front, raise the legs slightly, transfer weight to the next side and start all over again. How like the toddler he never gives up. Just one laborious lift, step, drag, transfer, time stop. This is slow motion. I hear his feet begin to drag in the gravel. Watch the dust swirl with each drag. Watch his family adjust their gait to his, then stride on, pick up speed until one remembers him again, and they pause to speed up again, remember, then pause. I will tell you that this too is life cycle, to pause, look, and begin again. And when I was born, they gave away the cat, which I just think is the most amazing thing, you know. And I felt that that made me kind of special. I was the eldest. So when my brothers would argue with me, I'd say they gave away the cat for me. What did they do to you? For you. And it was a bone of contention with us when we were growing up. So I thought I would write a poem about it and phone and read it to my brothers. But you know, when you plan things, they never come out how you want it. So it was meant to be one of those one-up-on-you kind of poems, but it turned out different. They gave away the cat when I was born. Took her one day in 1970 and left her. She came back twice. They say they loved that cat. It was hard, but no one remembers her name, what she looked like. Just a blanket she carried everywhere. There was an electric fire where she would curl, my aunt said. The blanket clenched between her teeth. And my grandmother said cats steal babies' breath. My mother saw babies mangled by jealous cats in the hospital where she worked. Then she began to have dreams of the cat scratching and prodding her baby, the blanket covered with blood. By the seventh dream, and a week before I was born, the cat had to go. We loved you so much that the cat had to go, Mom tells me as we make the bed. And a part of me feels special, the other, sorry for the cat. I tell her she was cruel. How could you let go of something you love? It was practice, she says. Every day you and your brothers grow older, and I have to let go of you. She shakes the bedspread into the air, smooths it with a flat palm, sits down and starts to cry. I remember us telling her only yesterday to leave us alone to live our own lives, and I think I understand what she's speaking about. And I'm going to end, on the subject of letting go, I'm going to end with this poem called Vigil. And basically it's for my aunt who brought me up in London. My mum sent me up for my aunt to look after me because I was the only one with a British passport. She was going to follow in them. Beautiful Margaret Thatcher changed the immigration rules so she and my brother couldn't come up. So I lived with my aunt, so I had two mothers. And this is a tribute to my aunt. Her youngest daughter searches for a funeral dress and white veil. Her eldest daughter folds in. Her son disappears into heroin. I ask only that my aunt wait for me the way her mother waited for her, holding death back with labored breath, eyes fixed ahead, living to see her daughter that last time. I ask her to wait so I can watch her steady fingers rotate the rosary beads, kiss the baby hair by her ear, smile when she tells me she is scared. I don't want her to be alone. I'm confident like God packing for my early morning flight. At 3 a.m., the phone rings. She's gone. I'm calm in acceptance. Today I walk along the River Thames following a procession, nostalgic as the season dies, watching rust-colored leaves litter as Indian gods. The light's going off again, I love it. Amber dances and fish lanterns glide in the night. Last year I walked in the sea of bodies saying poems about crossroads to veil-faced Orishas, lifeless puppets. I walked dressed in white, like her face covered in that coffin. I walked preparing for my vigil, ticking off hours to my flight. It's a year today. I knew she would wait, but she slipped out real quiet, and gone she own way. Thank you very much.
This piece is called Yellow Bucket. We queue up beside the dinner table to throw our food into the plastic bucket. Using the prongs of our forks, we scrape lumpy potato mash, grey greens, and the stray bits of dinner lady's hair onto the growing mound of food offerings. My best friend says the waste in the yellow bucket is collected for the hungry pigs who live on farms. But the head teacher in assembly tells us when we throw our food away, another child in the world starves. So, as I queue up beside the dinner table, I ask for the smallest bit of chicken and the tiniest piece of fried fish, so that another child in our world can live. When we sleep, I can hear her voice filling our bedroom, a laughter that starts in the belly as she throws back her head. Her twisted locks are black snakes that writhe around her neck. Sometimes when you look at me, I can still hear this ha, ha, ha. I long to cut off her head while she sleeps with you, and then hold it up to your face to petrify you with her stony gaze.
Dark shadows in the window. The birds they remember. Still they encircle my shrieks, tucked behind warm brick and cold mortar, under the ceiling of each new story. 10 shillings sent me under to work the pumps. Faulty cables kept me down beneath threads of yawning roots. Whilst the century was turning, I was left clawing through darkness, pressure pushing light out of my body. So in the stillness, I imagined horse-drawn carts racing down Chelsea Bridge faster than the speed of my death. It took them 5 days to heave the machinery off me. It took me 3 days to die. I still work the pumps.
And I'm going to finish, and we're going to finish with this poem. I thought we should finish with a ghost party. It's called The Carving, Honeysuckle Twilight Parties. And it's based on this, there's this tree that if you look at it a certain way, it looks like there's a face there. And at a certain point it looks quite nice, and then sometimes it doesn't look quite so nice. So this is about it. A head carved into the used trunk, intricate like art sculpted by God. Head bowed in prayer, its features solemn, one hand propping a chin, lying on brown pillows. At night, I imagine you awaken, call fairy friends to your lawn of dreams. Dusk is your time, wood nymph, and child of the fairies. At twilight, you plunge into the pond, dive into chortle under the fountain. You grab the nearest fairy by her waist and waltz among the dewdrops, dance into sweet duets between wind and leaves. I know your delightful chuckles as you guffaw at the owl's hoot. The garden is yours. Magic sizzles the air. When night marries day, your lament will begin again. You will curl back blubbering, curve into the trunk, a ghostly structure, a shadow of yourself, your mournful face frozen, weary, hidden again till dusk. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. It's been a lovely audience.